Hey everyone, you looking for a cool civilization game that you can teach in maybe about 10-15 minutes and still scratch that Sid and Meier's itch you got? Well, I got the game for you.
He's gonna go! He's gonna fight me! He's a big puppy! He thinks he's awesome!
Hey everyone, so this is Mosaic. Well, actually, this is just the top cover of the Mosaic prototype box that I was sent. Mosaic is a fantastic game. Yeah, I'm just going to say that right now. It's on Kickstarter right now. It's got a couple weeks left. Maybe you're watching this as just to kind of, what's the terminology? It's like to like ratify your decision that you've already made. There's some other better version of how to say that. Or maybe you're on the fence and you want to know what I think. And well, I just said the game's awesome. And if you're on the fence, just back it and you'll be happy that you did. If you need convincing, well, then continue on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a brief overview of the rules. It's not going to be really in depth, mostly because I don't want to take that much time, and also because there are people like John Gets Games who have done a fabulous rules video, and I invite you to watch that, and you can just see the game from start to finish and really know what's going on. So I'm going to pop over, show you the game, skip it if you like, and I'll come back here and I'll tell you why Mosaic might be pushing into that upper echelon of civilization games for me, which, I only have one or two that are in that rarefied air. So, all right, cool, let's do this. Things that you need to get in the top right of the card. You need to be able to show in your tableau that you have those cards or those symbols and be able to claim that. And so technology is mostly used for that. However, technology is also going to be used for the Golden Age cards, which are ways to score some points, where it'll tell you, like the first person to get to 6 of these military ones, and then you'll get bonuses and victory points for that. First person to 6 government symbols on their tableau, and so on and so forth. And and there are lots of different ways to score points in this game. It isn't like a giant explosion of points. It isn't like you're playing a game where everything you do is going to give you a victory point, but there definitely are lots of different routes to victory, and I'll talk more about that when I get to my my final thoughts here. All right, so when the board is made and created, I don't know how this is going to get out there, but when the board is created and put out there, you will populate the hexes that you see with these tiles. These tiles will either be treasure tiles, and treasure tiles will have designated spots where they have these little, like little treasure icon there. It looks like a 4-pointed star or like a shield. You'll put treasure icons, or you have every other one of these hexes will have a trade goods tile. And some of the trade goods tiles are going to have actual trade goods on one side, and all of them will say trade goods on this side, but on the other side it'll have either a trade good or it'll be blank. And if they're blank, you remove them from the game. Now, you might notice that both Gaul and Hispania over here don't have any token tiles on them. Now, here's the fun thing, is that you actually do place every single one of these hexes gets one of those tiles on it, then you flip them over. Well, I'm just kind of showing a 2-player game, and in a 2-player game, you don't use those 2 places, but you still populate them so you have a good even distribution of the trade goods versus tiles that don't have trade goods on them. So just kind of a cool thing, that makes sense when you're going to be playing the game. All right, so then as you begin the game, you get your 5. Oh, I should have mentioned that with your 5 technology cards, there is actually drafting, where each person will get 5 cards of these starting technology cards, and you might not, but there's like an S in the top left of the card. Each one gets 5 of those. You pick one, pass it to your left, pick one, pass it to your left, so on and so forth, until you have 5. And then you just play those out, and those are your starting, and any bonuses you use to affect your player board. Now, if I can talk about the player board really quickly, the way the player board works is that you have just basically these different things that will keep track of how good you are at certain things. Population will go up and down as the game progresses. For the most part, like, it goes up when you build up your population, you spend food to get population. But when you build cities, you reduce your population because you're sending out settlers, just like, you know, maybe a certain computer game you played with settlers. But like, you actually reduce your population and start another city. Food production, idea production, and stone production. Food production, as I already said, is going to be used for creating cities and building up your turf, so to speak. Idea production, as you probably guessed, is for technology. And stone production is, probably guessed, going to be used to build things. But each one of these has a little tracker on it, and will tell you how many you earn. When you take a work action, and I'll talk more about actions here in a little bit, you'll pick one of these 3 things to work, and then you will collect the number of whatever your stone production is, plus the number of people you have, to equal the amount. So if I did stone right now, I have a stone production of 5, and I have 6 people in my civilization, I get 11 stone for doing a work action on my turn. Tax and tariff productions will earn you money. I'll talk a little bit more of that when I get to tax and tariff actions, which when I talk about actions, we'll get to that. So, but those will go up and down as well. And then the trade goods area here is important because whenever you collect a trade good, and you collect trade goods when you build cities onto spots that have trade goods. And so, like, if you go to like here and you get this, you take this cow and like you build a city into that spot. So I mean, I'm not going through the process, but you build a city in that spot, you get a cow. That's fine. If later on I build a town, or I'll build another city, and where's another cow? Like if I built a cow in this spot here, this cow, I'd place it on top of my other cow. The reason for that is that the trade goods are marking unique trade goods, because the more unique trade goods you have, the more money you'll make when you do tariff actions. So so that's just one of the things when you're doing your trade goods section. You might have noticed that there's this big string of wonders over here. You do get to build wonders, and that is part of a build action. And then the wonders themselves, I should mention, like the Great Library, the Colosseum, and so on and so forth. Each of these will give you certain bonuses depending upon. And as I said, this is a game that has lots of different ways to score victory points, and you can focus on those. And depending upon what kind of strategy you want to take. Before I get to the actions, one last thing. There are achievement cards, and this is a really good way to get victory points as well. Like a militaristic civilization, the first person to 6 military units gets 6 victory points. First person to 12 population gets 6 victory points, and so on and so forth. Oops. And then you put these out for everybody to see, and everybody can look for them and try to shoot for them to get those bonus victory points for getting those particular things. All right. So, and one other thing. When it comes to resources, money is used for lots of things, but it is also universal. For every 2 coins, you can just replace. So if you said, oh, I need 2 stone to build something, you could spend 4 coin to do it. So just it's one of those things where, yeah, money can be interchanged on your turn for what you want. All right, so how does the game work? Well, the really cool thing about this game is that there isn't, you are building up as your turns go. You'll take an action to do a certain thing, like collect a certain number of resources, so you can build later. But this isn't a game where you're going to be like, I'm going to do this, and that synergizes with this, which does this and does that. You don't have like 7, 8, 9 minute turns where it's like, okay, and this cascades to that, and that cascades to this. This game is, it's your turn. Take an action. Take one action, and then it's the next person's turn. And it is just a really wonderful, simplified process of how the game continues. And I'll talk about the end game stuff here in just a little bit. But the cool thing, and I forgot to talk about governments. Well, I'll talk about governments here in a little bit when I talk about military. I'll touch on those really quick. But so on your turn, you will take an action. Now, for the most part, what your turns are going to be they are going to be doing some sort of work action, which is you're going to produce your food, you're going to produce your ideas, you're going to produce your stone, or you're going to be selecting a card and taking a card, whether it is a build card, a technology card, a population card, or a tax and tariff card, depending upon what you need at that given moment. So I'm going to just start up here and kind of work my way and just talk briefly about each one. A build card allows you to build. You can use a build action to select one of these, like a port city, a farm town, manufacturing town, and so forth. Or like you can use it for projects. Projects are another way you can use to earn victory points, where it's like you do this project, it's an aqueduct, and then you're going to get 1 victory point for each one of these symbols that you have there. And that's something, and again, when you build something, you just put it in your tableau. And I did like kind of put my technology cards out in like a row, but for the most part, what you're most likely going to do is you're going to take your cards and you're going to stack them in some way so they do not take up a ton of room. This game can take up a lot of room when you play, so I'm just giving you a heads up as far as that goes. But most Civilization games usually end up taking a lot of room. You can also build wonders. Depending upon whether it's your first, second, or third wonder, it's going to like take 20 stone and 5 food for your first one, and then the cost to build another wonder is going to be more, and then the cost to build more is more, and so on and so forth. So, but it's just an escalating cost for each wonder that you build. For population cards, you pay money. Pay food. Well, I guess technically you can pay money, because 2 money equals 1 food or 1 stone or 1 idea. But you pay the food price, and then you get to add to your population when you select the card. Technology cards. I already spoke that some of the technology cards will have symbols here that says you have to have those particular symbols in order to get that card. Like, say for example, like this sailing card, you want to have those 2 symbols in your tableau in order to take that. But if you don't, you can't take that particular card. You can, however, like if you say this card's awesome, I really want that card, I can't build it yet, you can take a card and put it face down in front of you, and then at a later turn, when you have enough to build it, you can flip it over and build it. And that doesn't take an action to do that. You can just flip the card over as soon as you're able to and add it to your tableau. If you want to take a technology card, it's 5 ideas. So you have to have 5 idea resources in order to take a technology card. Taxes and tariffs are a way to get a lot of money really, really quick. Depending upon, like, when you tax, it's like you get 2, like this particular card says you get 2 times population, 2 times your government plus tax production, and you get all that money. You get a ton of money right away. But you can see they have this thing where it says 3 unrest at the bottom. So for every point of unrest that you have at the end of the game, you lose a victory point. But there are different buildings you can build, and wonders and technologies, and even like this artist has -4 unrest. You can counterbalance that for the end of the game. Tariffs work a little bit differently. As I said, they work off of the trade goods, like 3 times unique trade goods, plus 2 times your cities, plus tariff production. Earn all that money, but then get some unrest. You can get military units. So military units are a little bit weird. So in a lot of Civilization games, it's tough to actually factor in military because of the fact that you don't want the game to kind of devolve into a war game. You want it to be a Civilization game, but military and war are part of Civilization. So the way this works is that when you purchase military units, you get to place them into areas on the board. And they cost money to do that. Later on, you can spend money to move them to an adjacent area of the board. Now, there are technologies that will allow you to remove, destroy armies of another player from different areas, but you can't attack their cities and like burn their cities to the ground. What you will end up doing is using your military units to claim dominance over an area, because you will score like area control points basically for the different areas of the board, and I'll talk about that because that's part of how the game ends. There are 3 moments where you will do that in the game, and I might as well talk about it right now. as soon as I can find the card. So in each one of the decks, there is an Empire scoring card, which looks like this. And those are put into the deck at a random spot. You don't know when they're going to pop up, and they look exactly the same. They have the exact same back. So each time you do that over, turn that over, you will score area majority points when that happens. And after the third one of those is found, the game will go into the end game situation where you do end game scoring and what have you. So, controlling different parts of the world is worth a lot of points, and it's good for you to have those points, obviously, if you want to win the game. So military will help you dominate an area when you're trying to figure out like who controls. Cities give you a bonus, wonders give you a bonus in cities, and military units give you a bonus for that. So yes, you can build military, and it can be very, very useful to establish dominance over a spot, but you aren't going to really use it to like wage war, so to speak. There are governments, as you can see here. Governments will give you certain bonuses. Like the tyranny, it's like during Empire scoring, you will score 1 victory point, extra victory point for each region that you control. If you want to claim a government, you can do so if you have what is required of you. Like, and these are technologies again, or certain numbers of technologies. You can only have one government at one time. If you decide you want to switch to another government, you can do so, but then you have to put the other government back when that's done. Other than that, I think I pretty much covered everything. As I said, this is a kind of a real overview of how the game works and how the game processes. The beauty of this game is really the simplicity of the design. You take one action, the other person goes. Take one action, the other person goes, and so on and so forth. And the turns are really, really simple and really, really straightforward. And so nobody is feeling like they are waiting 5, 6, 7, 10 minutes waiting for their turn, which is something that happens a great deal when you end up playing like bigger civilization games with a lot of moving parts and a lot of stuff going on. And those games definitely have their place, and they definitely have their moments where I enjoy them. But sometimes, and you want to scratch an itch. You want to scratch that civilization itch. And a game like Mosaic appears, and you get to put it on your table and you get to play it, and you still feel the same thing happening where you're building up cities and you are claiming territories and you are building wonders and you are building a little engine and having fun with your player board and like seeing your civilization grow, and you're getting those little jolts of fun and energy that you get out of civilization games without having to devote a long teach time to get the game rolling, a long refresher course if you haven't played it in a long time, and also, a 2, 3, 4, 5 hour game time to get the game played. So yeah, Mosaic is a total winner in my book. It is just absolutely fantastic. But I'll talk more about all of that in my final thoughts. All right, so at the very beginning of the video, I gave you that I don't know, clickbait, I guess, or it's not really clickbait because I didn't put it on the video of the title. But okay, like the little opening moment of like the game that you can teach quickly but still scratches the itch. And I alluded to that in the rules section if you watched that section. But if you didn't, let me just kind of talk about that a little bit. So this is a game, as I said in the rules, it's very, very simple and very, very simple. The process of the game is very, very simple. On your turn, take an action. Take one action. And that action is not a cascading action. There are lots of games that are a process, that are I took this, and that's going to give me 5 of this, which is going to trigger this, which is going to allow me to turn this card over, and that card triggers that, which now I'm going to be able to reset this barnyard thing over here, and now I'm going to be able to take 2 extra goats. And so those are fine games, and they're fun and what have you, but for a game that's going to be in-depth and have a lot of story behind it and a lot of, player interaction, to be completely honest, then having just worrying about the one action on your turn and then letting other people take their actions until it gets back to you and then worry about your one action. And also, like, a wonderful a cornucopia of actions as well. But usually when I played this game, what it came down to for me is like, I really want that. How am I going to get that? Can I get that on my turn? And if I really want that, and that could be that technology card, or it could be that build card, or that monument, or I really need money, I need that tariff card, or what have you, or I want to place a city onto the board and claim the treasure that's there because I really want that, or I really want the trade good that's on that spot and I want to put a city there, those sorts of things. My process was, I need to get that, but I need stone right now. So on my turn, I'm going to do a work action. And hopefully when it spirals around back to me, then I can get that as long as nobody else has done that particular action. And that didn't happen much. I mean, honestly, I mean, the couple plays I played this, and I've only had the game for a little while, so I was only able to play the game twice. And I played the game with 4 players, played the game with 2, and they were fantastic in both player levels. But it didn't happen too much. Obviously, with 4 players, having multiple people there, being able to select the things that maybe you had your eye on happens more often. But the nice thing is that even if somebody does select, like, oh, they took, whatever, they took the monument that I wanted, or the wonder I wanted, or what have you, there's always another option. And because the resources aren't so specific, it isn't like, oh, I really wanted that thing, and I gathered up 20 stones so I could get it, and now it's gone, and now I'm stuck with these 20 stone, and because now for that I need brick, or for that I need golden flutes, or something. No, that 20 stone can be obviously used for something else, and it is completely usable for that, for something that, might not have been exactly what I wanted, but it is something that is going to be close to what I wanted. Or I can just stockpile it and wait for that thing to appear, or have that option to take that thing in the future. And both of those are like completely viable strategies, and both of those, it's one of those things where the feel bad moments don't really happen that much in this game. And I reference feel bad moments, and I'm a guy that I can handle in lots of games. I can handle feel bad moments. And feel bad moments to me are like, oh, I really wanted to do that, and I've been building up to get that, and all of a sudden now somebody took it, and I can't have that. And so like my last couple actions were just kind of a waste, and I didn't get to enjoy the end of this journey that I was on in this game. And those are at a minimum in this. I mean, I really didn't have any specifically feel bad moments. I had one game where I felt like an Empire card was coming and coming soon, and I had strategically taken I had 3 regions that I controlled, and right before the Empire card, like I was like, where's that Empire card? I just wanted it to show up because I wanted all those points. It was like the 3rd Empire card, Empire Scores card. And right before it showed up, somebody spent their turn to move their military into that area, in one of the areas that I had control over, and then usurped the control. And then, of course, as luck would have it, the Empire card turned over. And I don't want that to sound like bad luck, like that happens that much. I mean, that was like a really, really specific kind of situation. But I mean, that was the closest I came to a feel-bad moment. But that really wasn't even like a feel-bad. It was just kind of like, oh, that's very fortuitous for the other player and not nearly as fortuitous for me. I ended up winning anyway. But it was just one of those things where it does the game. It added to the story, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It didn't feel so much as like it felt like, oh, that's kind of cool that the game kind of ended up like that in that moment, and it added to the story. And I referenced at the very beginning, like, oh, that Sid Meier feel to the game. This thing hits on all of the cylinders for what I want in a Civilization game. I want to build myself up, and I want to see myself built up. As far as like the technology cards and building up my tableau, like you start off small, and as the game progresses you get bigger and bigger, and you start becoming more powerful. And that's something that it's fun to watch that and see each person kind of go off in their own direction and do their own thing. If somebody wants to have a really strong military type of empire, that's their thing. If somebody wants to be like a more artistic one, if somebody wants to focus on like building structures, I mean, it's just kind of neat to see what other people will do and how they will grow. And so it hits that peg really well as far as Civilization games go. The technology isn't a tree, because it isn't one of those things where it's you need to take masonry before you can get this, and you need to take this before you can get this. There was a game, oh man, Era of Civilizations or something like that. It's a game from several years ago now. It was a Civilization game that I enjoyed, but it was mostly a card-based game. I think it was just a card-based game. But this is kind of like that, if I'm remembering correctly, where you just kind of collect the different things that you need to be able to do it. And I kind of like this better than a technology tree, because I think a technology tree works really, really well for playing like a Sid Meier Civilization one player against the computer type of thing, because you can chart it out, right? But in here, it allows a certain level of flexibility and a certain level of, I don't have to like research a compass so I can get sailing. You can get sailing in different ways, and it kind of feels the flow of it feels more real, and you feel like you're not getting stagnated by that, and that's a really good thing. I love the fact that the population grows, and then you build cities, and it goes back down. Plus, the population and building cities is a great way to like obviously get points because of scoring for empires, but you're also taking away your production, and so you kind of feel like this kind of like glacier. I move 5 feet forward, I'm moving 3 feet back. I'm moving 4 feet forward, I'm moving 2 feet back. But you're always gaining, but you're just kind of feeling like the wave of the game kind of going back and forth, and I like that as well. All in all, like I said, I've said this in like countless reviews. If you've been watching me for a while, is that when I feel myself smiling as I play, and maybe not like actually physically smiling, but I feel myself just kind of being transported by the game, and not like to some like ethereal level of like whatever grokking it or something like that. Just like the rest of the world kind of drops off, and I'm just feeling myself enjoying the process, and I'm feeling myself just like me and the game are just kind of good vibes, as they say. That's things I like, and this one did that repeatedly. Good vibes, just like, wow, that's cool, I got to pull that off. Wow, cool, that tariff card just got me like 46 coins. Things like that, where you're just kind of like just having little tiny moments of victory that kind of just pile up, and then you get to the end and like one person wins, of course, but obviously the point of the game is to win. But when I found myself just kind of enjoying it and enjoying the process, and just come what may, win, lose, or draw, I found myself still enjoying it, even in the game that I lost. I won one game, I lost one game, but I enjoyed both of them immeasurably. And this is definitely, like I said, this is definitely one of those games where I'm very picky about my Civilization games, and I try to play as many of them as I can. Some of them have definitely like shine for me, and some others have hit the dustbin, as they say. But Mosaic does what a lot of the bigger, crunchier Civilization games do, as far as the feel, the structure, the satisfaction, but does it in a way, and this is kind of, and not to kiss my friend's butt here, but Glenn Drover has kind of reached this like kind of pinnacle of designing cred, in my opinion, where he can take a really, really deep and complex game, but present it in such a way that it isn't scary to like bigger, thicker, chunkier gamers, right? It's bigger, heavier games have their place, but bigger, heavier games that feel like lighter games, like Mosaic, are definitely the types of games that are hitting my table way more often now, with my gaming group and with my family, than say a game like Democker or Through the Ages or things like that, where like obviously I really enjoy bigger, heavier, chunkier games, but they just don't, I just don't have the time. I don't have the time to like teach somebody for 45 minutes how to play a game, just so we can then enjoy the game, hopefully. Whereas with this, I can set the game up, I can teach somebody how to play it in 10 minutes, maybe have 3 or 4 rules questions, and then we're good to go. And we're done. So there you go. If you have any questions, comments, love to hear them. I hope you were able to sit through this. I know I kind of blathered on a little bit about it, but I'm really enjoying this, and I can't wait to see what, like, obviously the big deluxe version of the game is going to be once they get it produced. So thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. I really appreciate it. As always, I don't know, hit the thumb, the like, whatever, subscribe if you like, and until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, and you take care of yourself out there. All right? Bye-bye.